This is it. This is all the information I need. But what if I told you those familiar patterns, those candles you've been staring at, are only showing you half the picture? And maybe, just maybe, they're leaving out the most important part.
Get this, it takes your brain up to half a second just to see a price change on the screen and decide what to do. In the time it takes you to blink, trading algorithms have already placed and executed thousands of orders. So by the time you see a big move happening, the smart money is already in position. This isn't just a small speed advantage, it means you're fundamentally playing a different and much slower game.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. First, we'll talk about why just looking at candles can be misleading. Then, we'll uncover the invisible market where the real game is played. After that, we'll look at the tools you need to see what's happening there. We'll walk through a real-world example, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a whole new way of looking at the market, shifting from just reacting to actually reading it.
All right, let's jump right into part one and break down why the way most people trade is, well, kind of set up for failure from the start.
The source material kicks off with a pretty brutal statistic. A staggering 96% of traders don't make money. And it's not because they aren't intelligent people. It's because they're focused on the wrong thing. They're chasing the effects, the candles, instead of understanding the cause.
And this right here is the core of the issue. A big green candle just tells you the outcome of a battle. It doesn't show you the battle itself. Relying only on price is like trying to understand a football game by only looking at the scoreboard at the end. You see who won, sure, but you have no idea about the key plays, the momentum shifts, or the strategies that actually decided the game.
So if the price chart is just the scoreboard, where is the actual game being played? Well, it's time to pull back the curtain and look at this invisible market.
Now, this is the market we all know, right? The cash market. You buy some shares of a company, you sell some shares. It's direct, it's straightforward, but it's not where the real power is.
And here's where things get really interesting. The scale of this other invisible market isn't just a little bigger. It's absolutely massive. It changes everything.
That's right. For every $1 being traded in the cash market that everyone watches, there are $10 being traded in the derivatives market. That's options and futures. That's where the big institutions are really operating. Their activity in this gigantic arena is what creates the waves that eventually crash on the shore of the cash market. It truly is a game within a game, and most retail traders are completely blind to it.
So how in the world do you see this invisible market? Well, you can't use standard charts. You need a specialized toolkit, the kind that pros use.
The first tool is called Market Profile. The best way to think of it is like an MRI for the market. Instead of just showing you a single price point, it shows you where the market has spent the most time and traded the most volume. It reveals the market's skeleton, the key structural levels where institutions have been buying and selling. Now, if Market Profile is the MRI showing you the structure, then Order Flow is the live EKG, showing you the market's heartbeat, tick by tick. It doesn't just tell you the price moved up, it shows you why it moved up. You can literally see how many aggressive buy orders hit the market versus sell orders at every single price. It's the live, unfiltered battle between buyers and sellers.
So here's the most important part.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. Am I audible? So here's wishing a very happy new year 2026 to all you guys there. And we are back with our 5 p.m. sessions in the new year. So what better way than to start the new year with making a focus on what has happened in 2025 and what are the important references we need to look out for in 2026. So let's get going. Before that, we have a option in VTrender charts to save bookmarks, but how do we save them? For example, we need to go to an yearly chart. So this is the default page of the market profile chart, and because we are looking at the longer time frame, what we need to do is we need to go to the Nifty Spot TPO option, and here by default we'll get the daily, and here at the bottom you can see we have the time frames. So when you're looking at the time frame, because we want to have a look at what we have done for the entire year, you will go with this biggest highest hierarchy, the calendar year. So you need to just click on this. The instrument has been selected, Nifty Spot TPO, and we have selected the yearly option. So once this is done, I'll again give the 2 points. Nifty Spot TPO is the instrument and the time frame is yearly. So once these two steps are done, we can save this chart and save it in the bookmarks tab. And this is customizable to every user. So whichever bookmark you want to save, you can do it this way. So coming now to the yearly chart, and before we talk about what we did in 2025, I'll just zoom this a bit and I'll increase the screen size so that we get some more space. So what we did in 2024 was form an elongated profile which was completely above this previous year's range. Yes, we did have some value forming at this part. This was more of a spike close for the year 2024, which continued, the imbalance continued, and we had a nice 4,500 plus point range for the year. And this was an elongated one, and more importantly, we formed completely higher value. And we made this new all-time high in September from where we got a retracement. And the close was right, I think, in the middle. So, sorry. So what we got on the yearly chart was the elongated profile with completely higher value, and because it was on the upside, we were expecting a balance for the year 2025, and this was even mentioned by Shai when we ended the year 2024 that we are looking at a balance. So what does that mean? Balance means we are going to be mainly between this value of 2024, and that is what has happened. Most of the part of 2025 we were inside this value, and I'll just, what we can do in this market profile chart is beautifully split this and you will get the daily profile. So here what we are doing is we are having a quick look at how we started 2025 and where did the auction change character. So you can see how this POC 24143 from 2024 was the reference when we started 2025. So we were below this. So that means the bias was to the downside in the first part of 2025, and we continued to probe lower. We broke below this value also, but you can see we hardly sustained below this value area low, and this good rejection at previous year's value on this session was telling us that the downside is now being capped, and because we were expecting a balance, you know that this lower level is supported, and this was a HVN on the yearly time frame which held, and from here we not only got back higher, completed the 80% rule in this yearly value, but then went on to tag this all-time high. So we'll just talk about 2025 and we'll not consider in the yearly chart what we have started with 2026. But for now, and you can see once we saw this POC being taken out, this started to show us change of polarity. So for the first couple of months and first 3.5 months, when we were below this POC, the bias was lower. But then when we were supporting this value area from 2024, we knew that buyers are coming back in this zone. And after this POC got taken out, you can see it did get tested couple of times, but mainly we were above this POC. So this turned the PLR to the upside, albeit it was in this range itself. We are not looking at being too bullish, but we are looking at a tag of this value area high and this test of all-time high. So that is what we did. We went on to stay above this and continued to probe higher. In between, we did have a 4-month balance, which was taken out in October. It gave a signal that it wants to move away. And then finally, on December 1st, we made new all-time high of 26325. But what happened there was we confirmed a failed auction on the daily time frame. So that marked the end of the up move in the Nifty spot. From there, I'll come to the monthly chart in a bit. Monthly became a balance. So on the yearly chart, what have we done? We have formed a neutral extreme profile to the upside. Why was it a neutral extreme? Because just like how we see the first two TPOs of the daily chart as the initial balance, for the yearly we consider January and February, that first 2 months, to be the initial balance. So what we did was we did break below the lows of February, but this was rejected. Why was it rejected? You can see how we have a singles, and then we went on to take off the high of Jan, and we remained above that highs, and we went on to close around the highs of the profile. So it is a neutral extreme profile, and value wise, if I just stack this again, you can see what we have done. We have formed overlapping to higher value for the year 2025. So what are the important references? We have this POC at 24786, and the VWAP of the year is also close by 24682, I think, is the VWAP. And these two would be our most important swing reference for the year 2026. And because we are around the highs, I'll just zoom this a bit. So I'll just also see where the value is. So here we have the data in the info box. The POC is at 24786 and the VWAP is at 24682. So these two are very important swing levels for the year 2026. Whereas the value area is 26301 and the value area low is 23630. Very important nuance here is this value area low of the current year. You can see how it is aligned with the previous year's VWAP. And the previous year VWAP, previous year's profile we already discussed was a buyer dominated one, because we formed completely higher value and we were above previous year's range. So that is the reason what we have done on the yearly time frame is we have formed value above that VWAP. So what does this tell us? The buyers who formed this 2024 profile are still in profit and they have shifted their base higher. So now when are we bullish for 2026? If we stay above this value area high, we will continue to be bullish for more upside. And on the downside, you can see we have one TPO, one prominent HVN over here. This is 25920. I'll just zoom up the chart. So this reference 25920 is that HVN, which will be the immediate support in spot. This is coinciding with the last 2 month overlapping POC which we have on the monthly time frame 25937. As I said, I'll come to the December monthly chart in a bit. So this will be the immediate support. But if we break below the 25920 and hold, then we are looking for a fill up of this zone. This zone could see filling up. So this is how you need to track what is happening on the yearly time frame. If we remain about 26,300, we are bullish. We look for more upside, and we will see for initiative buy side activity on the shorter time frame, on the daily and the order flow when it comes to futures. But if we stay below this, then we look at what happens at this level when we go there, and then accordingly we will either set up for more downside if we break below this and hold, or we can look for a bounce back to this 26300 and upside. So this is how the yearly chart in Nifty is about. So as I mentioned, and on the downside, yes, as I mentioned, this VWAP and POC will be the most important swing supports. And if for any reason we break below this, then it will be a bearish scene. And what would be the next support? The next support would be this value area low. And if we are breaking below this at any point of time in 2026 and sustaining, then we will no longer be bullish about 2026. Then we can look for more downside, and a test of this tail which we had seen on the daily, this rejection which we had seen on the daily could be tested. So this is as far as the Nifty spot is concerned. Let's now move on to the Bank Nifty chart. And same thing, what I'll do is I'll go to the Bank Nifty spot TPO. By default, we get the daily, and then we'll select the yearly time frame. So Bank Nifty spot TPO is selected, and in the time frame at the bottom, we are going for the calendar year. And let us see what the Bank Nifty did last year. So before that, just a quick look at the year prior to it. This is 2024 for you, and in 2024 you can see we formed completely higher value, and we remained above this yearly POC of previous year. So that is why we give so much of importance to the POC in market profile on all time frames. Above the POC we are bullish, below it we are bearish. So the fact in 2024 we remained above the POC of 2023, it was telling us that the Bank Nifty can do well, and it did do well, and we had a nice well balanced value for the entire year. So this value area low was the support along with this POC and VWAP. So what did we do in the current year? So you can see how start of the year was bearish, just like what we saw in Nifty. I'll again split this profile so that we can have a quick look. But Bank Nifty, you can say, was divided into two parts in the year 2025. What was the first part? The first part was this. We stayed below this POC of 2024. This, and we probe lower. We formed this new lows in January itself, which was taking support right at this value area low. So you can see how the yearly time frame also respects the concept of what we follow on daily and weekly value. In market profile, we look at value, we don't trade price. So if you were bearish and you were short and we made new lows in January, so the general feeling would be that it is going to be a bearish year and we can continue to go down in February and March. But what happened? We took support right at this value area low of previous year. So this is not a random number. It is taking support at a very important level. And why this was important? Because we had formed completely higher value. This value was formed by buyers. So they were not able to defend the POC and the VWAP, but they came back at the value area low. So here what we saw, we did see a bounce, but still this POC was not able to be taken out. Then again, we saw these new lows, and this marginal new low, when it happened, it saw a sharp rejection. So same thing what we saw in Nifty, but Nifty went on to probe below the value and hit a HVN. But in Bank Nifty, it was a very clear case of the probe look down below the value area low of 2024 was seen getting rejected. So once this happened, we knew that this value area low is being defended by buyers. So the only way left was now to go up, complete the 80% rule in this value area. So what happened? We went on to tag this POC, and here this thing changed in April when we got this big initiative player in. This was not just happening on the daily or the weekly or the monthly. This also happened, left an extension handle on the yearly time frame. So 52063 was that level, and from there Bank Nifty never saw back. So you can see how from 47,700 we were making a balance in this 5,000 point range, but once that gave an move away with this initiative buying profile, it was there was no looking back, and we went on to climb by another 7,000 points. So what happened in Bank Nifty after that? So coming to the second part, you can see how we kept trending higher for the rest of the year, And once we took out the value area high, that became the support zone. It was showing us change of polarity. So this is a very important concept, and this tells us that the direction of the bigger trend is in which way. So you can see how at the open of the year we are bearish because we are below this 51214. But once this was taken out in sometime in March, and then we got this extension handle in April, we were bearish, we were bullish, we were looking for more upside. And once we took out this value area high, they started to show us the change of polarity. You can see this dip held. It was not wanting to go back into previous year's value. So this was telling us it is headed higher. And what did we do? We went on to make new all-time highs. And just like what we saw in Nifty, 1st of December, made that new all-time high in Bank Nifty also. And we got a failed auction at 6114. So that again forged a monthly balanced profile in December. From there, we need to now look at what is happening in January. So that again we will discuss once we come to the monthly chart. So now for the yearly time frame, what is the profile looking like? So you can see it's an elongated profile. Where we form this balance in the lower part in previous value for the first couple of months. But once we got a move away, you can see very clearly, even on the yearly chart, you can see one zone of TPOs just below this value area low. So you don't get a clearer sign than this that this is rejection. So it does not want to go lower than this value. And from here, once we got this extension handle, and then we made this probe above the value area high of 2025, we were definitely bullish. So what are the levels which we need to look out for in the year 2026? So the immediate reference would be this value area high, which is also the FA, which is right at that 6114 level. So if we are above 6114, we would be bullish for more upside. And Bank Nifty can continue to give us continue the imbalance higher. But on the downside, what would be the immediate support? Because the POC is way lower. And if this structure, the yearly structure also looks like a double distribution profile. So very clearly you can see this is one distribution in the lower part. It moved away from here. It left this zone of single, which is what we call the DD zone. And then we have formed another distribution in the upper part. And the POC and the VWAP is right here. So this 55348, which is the 2025 POC, would be our reference. 55269, I think, is the POC, is the VWAP. So that will be the lower support. So, but immediately, what would be the level to watch out for? Same thing what we saw in Nifty. We have a not as prominent as Nifty, but still it is a prominent one. This reference at 59,000, which is what the POC of the last 2 months will show you, will be our support. If we break below this, then we are looking for a fill up of this zone. And then this part would be very important. Okay, because this is where we have spent most part of the time after giving that breakout in April last year. So if we stay above this 6114, we are bullish. We had a very small selling tail here. 59,800 to 60,114 was that reference, but that 59,800 has been taken out. So there is no tail for now, because in 2026 we have come above that, and we need to sustain above this value area high to continue higher. And this 59,000 would be our support, immediate support. Below that, we are looking for a fill up of this zone. And swing wise, these two, yearly POC and VWAP, will be our support. So when will the bullish bias for Bank Nifty change? Once we get below this value area low, and if this zone of singles, which has been created by the buyers, is taken out, then we are no longer bullish for 2026. But till that does not happen, we are looking for more upside. And with the important budget coming up in the coming month, we will have to see how this fares above this previous year's value. So this is about the yearly charts of Bank Nifty and Nifty Spot. So I showed you how we can view this chart with a single click, and in one screen you can change this to any time frame. So as we are in Bank Nifty Spot, I would just quick change this to the calendar month, because we have just finished December, and this is what the December profile looks like. Let's have a quick look at the December profile and what we need to look out for in Jan. So as I mentioned, the first day of the year, we got the failed auction in both Nifty and Bank Nifty Spot. So this failed auction marked the end of the up move, and we could not sustain above this previous month's high of November. So what have we done? We came back lower. We tested this POC, but you can see how we remained above this VWAP. This VWAP is also an extension handle, 58615. So that held, and that was a very important cue in Bank Nifty. And what have we done? We have formed a very nice balanced Gaussian curve. Yes, this was more a B-shaped kind of a Gaussian curve because of this tail from 59,800 to 6114. But what we have seen in January is we have stayed above this value. So this is our reference. And you have a very nice setup waiting here of around 500 points if we get back into this value area of December. 59408 I think is the value area high. Yes, it is right here. If we get back into this, we are looking for a test of this value area low. Yes, this POC, which is at 589,293, would be one pit stop, you can say, but it is very likely that it is going to swipe through because this is such a beautiful balance which is formed on the monthly time frame, 58909. So there is this nice 500 pointer setup waiting, which has a very good chance of being a winner. So on the upside, what was that we were looking for in January? We are looking at taking out this tail because we closed around this 59,600 level. So we needed to negate this tail, and that is what we did on the very first day of 2026. We have taken that tail out, and we were sustaining above it. So this is a bullish sign, but what we saw today was an initiative selling tail on the daily time frame. So that is what we need to do. We need to club, and that is the reason we have this top to bottom approach. So we know on the yearly what are the important levels we need to look out for, and then we come to the monthly, then weekly, and then the daily. So the initiative move is always identified on the shortest time frame. So today we have got this initiative selling tail on the daily time frame, and what has it done? It has forced a close below the 6114 level, which was our value area high in the FA. So because we have come back below the FA, now we have a fresh sell side zone which is active. So as long as we don't take this out, we will have to be little careful in having the bullish bias in Bank Nifty. But on the downside, what are the references which we want to look out for? We are looking at this 59,800, which needs to show us change of polarity. So if this 59,800 is showing us support or demand coming back, we know that this is good. This is a good floor to look to go back on the long side. But if for any reason this breaks, then we are looking for a test of this value area high, and then you have that 80% rule. So this is about the monthly spot, a nice balance on the monthly time frame. We are bullish above this and bearish below this. And then now let us now have a quick look at the weekly. What have we done last week? And in the same chart, I will again just go back lower to the time frame, and we will go to the calendar week. So you can see how on a single window with this, you can do the analysis of different time frame, mark down the levels, make a note of them, and be ready to trade based on those levels for the next session. So what have we done in Bank Nifty spot in the last week. A quick look, we had seen this narrow range balance being formed with completely higher value in the week prior to last week. This was the uh, Christmas week where we saw a brief Santa rally for the first 3 days, which stopped on 24th of December. So what we did was we closed away from this value and back into this previous weekly balance. So this was a bearish close and we were looking for a more downside. And what we did, we tested this buying tail. You can see the first 2 days, the first day left an initiative selling tail, we made lower value and we continued the imbalance at open on Tuesday where we made these new lows for the week, but then immediately we left a buying tail right at this support, which was a swing low on the weekly time frame, and we have a tail also. So when you are getting demand back at the previous zone, confirmed zone, you know that now the PLR is changed. And here same thing on the weekly time frame, we closed with a spike. You can very clearly see this is an extension handle, then this was a spike close getting back into this weekly balance. We were talking about the 80% rule on the monthly time frame, and you can see the same 80% rule played out so beautifully in this weekly time frame. We entered with a spike, so this spike low became our reference and it was close to this value, so we never went back below this value. And once this spike got accepted the next day, we not only took out this POC, we also scaled above this value and continued to negate, taking this out. So this lows in Bank Nifty spot of last week, which was at 58737, was a failed auction on the weekly, and we went on to complete the 180R, which was not a surprise. The 180R objective of that was right at where our selling tail on the monthly was, 59800. And what have we done at that level? I'll just hide today's profile and we'll come to that once we discuss this. What did we do that on Thursday? We took that out with an initiative buying tail. And you can see this ledge forming over here. So many similar highs happening at the same level. Why? Because this level was right where we had the monthly selling tail. So even on 1st of January, we were not able to take that out. But on 2nd, we formed this initiative buying tail and we took that out. So if you go back to the I'll just so if you go back to the weekly chart, what does the weekly chart show you? It's a neutral extreme close, and we have this extension handle here, which is that 59800 mark, which will be the support, and we were looking for a sustenance above this to be continue the imbalance to the upside. And what happened today? We opened higher. We opened higher and we tried to stay above the Friday's range, but it was not happening. We left this important selling tail at top, and then once we got back into previous day's range, we have gone into this zone of singles. So as long as this selling tail is holding, we are not too bullish for the current week. But yes, we are looking at this 59800 to hold. The buyers need to hold this. If they fail to hold this, then below this POC of last week, we are looking for a fill up of this low volume zone. So this excuse me. So this is about the Bank Nifty spot. A quick look now to our main instrument, which is the Nifty. Let's go to the Nifty spot TPO and have a look at what we did last month. So you can see how in Bank Nifty spot also, we formed a nice balanced profile. And this balanced profile came because of a failed auction at the top, 26325. This happened on the 1st of December, and you can see the power of the failed auction. For the entire month, the auction remained below that. But then what did we do? We tested this POC and VWAP of previous month. November was a buy side dominated month. We closed around the highs, and we even opened at new all-time high. But this new all-time high on 1st of December was a open is equal to high start, not a open is equal to high. Sorry, we got a seaside extension there, and we left a failed auction. So there we knew that the demand is now booking out, and we formed this nice balanced profile. So this value area high of 26085 is our reference to remain bullish for January 2026. So monthly chart, we will have monthly references. Yearly chart, we will have the references marked for the entire year. So this 26085 is only for the month of Jan. But whereas that 26301, which we saw in the 2025 value area high level, would be for the entire year of 2026. So that is how we need to validate which level is valid till which time. So the levels which are formed on the monthly are valid for the month. The levels which are formed on the weekly are valid for the week, and vice versa. And same thing for the daily. So that is why the daily levels are important for the next day. Then we will take the current date data to uh, look out for the next session. So now 26085 is our reference to remain bullish. Below this, we are looking for this 27937 POC. 27988 is the series VWAP of December. So they are very close by, and that zone will be an important zone. But for any reason we break below that, and we break this value area low of 25781, then we will look for more downside in Jan 2026. So these are our important references for the month of January. Rollover point, as we have already mentioned in our report and post, 26133 is the rollover for Nifty. So that reference will be valid in both spot as well as in futures. So a quick look at what we have done in 2026 in spot in January. You can see how we have remained above this value, but we have not been able to sustain above that 26301. So today's profile is that of a neutral extreme to the downside, and we have confirmed a failed auction at the top in Nifty spot. So that will be the new reference for us to be taken out for going back to being fully bullish. As of now, the failed auction is in play, and we will have to look out where it could take support. We will come to the daily and the weekly levels, and then discuss about what we can expect for tomorrow's settlement in a bit. So this is about the monthly chart. Same thing, just like what we saw in Bank Nifty, there is a very good chance of 80% rule playing out in this monthly value between 26085 to 25781, and the POC is right in the middle. So that will be one objective to get hit. So now let's close this and go to the weekly time frame. Same thing in Nifty spot weekly. What did we see? We saw it probing lower in the first part of the week, and you can see why we have a ledge formed over here. See, multiple TPOs forming the low at a point 25880. We discussed this in last Monday's session. We had it marked in the report that we were looking at a test of this 2-week overlapping POC, unvisited VPOC of 25882. So it is not a surprise that we got a ledge forming there. So this was the base, and this base held. This acted like a floor, and from there we went on to get a good move on the upside. We have left this extension handle around this 26200 mark, which will be our support for tomorrow's settlement, also for the rest of the week. And on the upside, we needed to remain above this highs, which we failed to do. So we are right now between this zone of 26200 to 26350. And what we have done today is we have formed this neutral extreme profile with a failed auction at the top. So we will have to see if we remain below this zone and break below the weekly POC of 26150. So this is about what it is in the higher time frame, the yearly, the monthly, and the weekly. And on the daily spot, we have seen what we have done today. It has set up nicely for tomorrow's settlement. So let us now move to the futures in the options part and discuss where the gamma is placed and what are the references we need to look out for tomorrow. But before that, we would want to make an announcement of the New Year's offer, which is running for to join the VLD, the VTrender Live Desk, which we are offering a straight 30% off on all plans, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And today is the last day of that offer. So today midnight, that offer will close, and this is a golden opportunity for people who are interested in joining. And you can use the code HNY 2026 to avail the discount and go to the link